Yes. That's all I'm going to say. Draco and Manacled, yes. Just yes, yes, yes. Draco and Harry Potter, hell no. But Draco and Manacled, yes. 1000% yes. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiandra, and welcome to my 2024 book wrapped and my TBR of 2025. I love making these videos, so sit back, relax, grab your cup of tea as we talk about all the books. Take my little sip. I am an honorary Potterhead and an honorary member of Ravenclaw. So, cheers. Okay, so for 2024, I read a total of 20 books. I reread one book, and I DNF'd one book. So I do say that's pretty good, in my opinion. I thought I read more books than that, so I am going to make it a goal to read more books in 2025. But, you know, life happens. And I was on a reading roller coaster of emotions. So there's that. I did log everything in my book journal. So that's all the books I logged. I got this from the Book Talk journal. But I might be making my own book journal in the future. We'll see about that. I'll let you know when I do officially decide to do that. But yeah, before I start on the main course of my books, the book I DNF'd for 2024. Now, this is going to be controversial, so don't come for me, but this is in my opinion. Any of the books I talk about are always going to be in my opinion. So please take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes people read books and some people love it and some people hate it. So it's just their opinion, but in my opinion only. So the book I DNF for 2024 is One Dark Window. I know. Don't hate me. I just could not wrap my head around this book and the characters for some reason. I don't know if I was in the mental space for it, so maybe that's why, but I just could not get into it for some reason. And I wanted to, and I still want to, but I don't know if I can. I might give this one more shot within the year or in the future, but we'll see. But yes, this was my DNF of 2024. I try not to DNF books, but honestly, if I will stop. Anyways, the book I reread in 2024, I think I read this maybe 2022 as well. I reread Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, only because of the third season of Bridgerton. I just had to reread this book with Penelope and Colin. The books are way better in my opinion, but of course, you know, the show likes to put their twist on things. But yeah, I reread this. So I do love the Bridgerton series. Alright, so now let's get down to business. Okay, so I'm going in order of most disappointing to books that altered my brain chemistry and became my Thai personality. Yeah. Made me want to go check myself in to a hot mental asylum, pretty much. That is the range of books I've had this year. So, one more sip of tea, and we shall do this. Okay. So, I'm going to have to say, my most disappointing book of 2024. Let's put a backstory to this real quick before I show you. I waited 3 years for this book to come out because it's a part of a trilogy and it's the last book in the trilogy. So I waited 3 years for the last book to come out, and it was the most disappointing book I read. Not to say I love this author, and this trilogy is basically what helped reignite my love for fantasy books. Because after Harry Potter, I read that as a kid, I kind of just went into only mystery books. For some reason, I was only reading mystery books or scary books. I wasn't expanding my palette at all. And then I read this trilogy, and I completely fell into all the fantasy, romantasy of it all. So, with that to say, my most disappointing book of 2024 was Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tomi Ademi. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt because some people actually love this book. For me personally, I was disappointed because it was too rushed. After 3 years, I felt like this wasn't enough. It was too rushed. There were some plot holes where I was just like, what happened to that character? What happened to that story? I just wanted more. I really wanted more from this book, and I didn't get that satisfaction that I wanted. So that's why I felt it was disappointing. I felt, honestly, that if she had made this into 2 books, like, it would have been awesome. I would have read 2 more books of this trilogy. Her first book, Children of Blood and Bone, excellent. This was what sparked my love again for fantasy. And then she had Children of Virtue and Vengeance. That's the second book. And then this is the third book, Anguish and Anarchy. Yeah, I just really wish there was more. Some people loved it, but personally, I was one of the people that did not like it. I was just very disappointed. I ended up finishing the book, and whenever I asked the question, that's it, that's when I know I did not like the book. So I literally yelled out loud, that's it. And I knew it was over from there. Tomi Ademi is a fantastic African-American author, though. So I am very interested to see in the future if she writes more books, because I can't wait to read from that. I guess I just waited so long for this third book to come out. Like, I read the first 2 back in 2019 and 2020, and then COVID happened and nothing. There was silence. And then she came out with this book in 2024. And I was just like, finally. But it wasn't what I was expecting. They are making a movie out of the whole entire trilogy, so I'm excited about that. I'm very excited to see who plays Zelly, who plays Iman, I'm just excited to see all of that. But yeah, definitely recommend Children of Blood and Bone. I recommend the trilogy, but just take what I say with a grain of salt on this last one, because some people did love it and some people hated it, and I was just one of the people who just did not like it. Alright, the second book that I was disappointed in, also Don't Come For Me. This book, I was more underwhelmed than disappointed. It was just very underwhelming, and I was kind of like, okay. Yes, and that book is, I know, homegirl over here, Sarah J. Maas. We got House of Flame and Shadow, Crescent City. Now, the Crescent City series is my favorite series out of the entire Sarah J. Maas universe. Like, I love it more than ACOTAR. I know that's a big thing to say. I still love Reese, though. I'm a Reese girl, still through and through. But the first 2 books of the Crescent City series are pretty much my entire personality. I made it my entire personality for like the last 2 years, and I still love it. This third book, though, was very underwhelming for me, only because I came up with so many theories in my head, and I watched so many TikTok videos and listened to so many podcasts on theories that I literally was talking with friends who also read the series. What could be what. We were making, like, literally diagrams, writing on whiteboards of what could happen in this third book. And then the third book came out, and we read it, and we all kind of just was like, okay. Alright. Sarah J. Maas, she finished the plot, she finished the storyline. That's not to say, but it was so underwhelming. The theories we came up with, none of that happened. And I wish it did. I really wish it did. But she completed the story of the Asteri. She completed Bryce's story. She completed all of that. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone in case you do want to read the series, because I know some people who are just starting ACOTAR and Sarah J. Maas world. So I still want you to read it because it is amazing. Especially the first 2 books. This was just overhyped for me. It was very overhyped. Honestly, in my opinion, I felt like this book should have been called Crescent City and the Adventures of Connor and and whatever happens to Bryce in the end. Pretty much, because that's how I felt. It was the adventures of Connor and whatever happened to Bryce in the end. So yeah, that was my underwhelming book of 2024. So I think those are the only two books that disappointed me in 2024. So we're gonna go to the middlemen. I like to call it basically the books that I didn't hate, I liked, but didn't alter my brain chemistry. They were just okay. I liked them, I enjoyed them, but they didn't completely mind blown or alternate my brain chemistry. I gave most of these middleman books like a 4 or like a 3.9 type of rating. So let me just grab them. I'm literally surrounded by books on the floor. It's not even funny. So the first book I have, hold on. The first book I have is Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. I did enjoy this book. Josh is not my favorite man of the Anna Huang world. I'm a Christian Harper girly in the Twisted series. I'm a Christian Harper girly through and through. So, I actually read this book last, which is interesting. But I wasn't too like, oh my god, but I did enjoy the book. It was cute. It was cute. So this series, I started it. I'm not sure if I'm going to go through with all 6 books, but I did start it. It's called The Guild. And it's pretty much a twist on the Midas's Touch story. We have like a gold-plated prisoner, and she pretty much becomes the like female main character that we all read about. I have to say though, warning, that there is a lot of graphic, explicit, scenes in this book that are not very nice, pretty much sexual assault type of things. So I would have to say, read this lightly, or tread lightly when reading this. But I didn't like pretty much 75% of the book until the end. The ending was what got my momentum in, because the ending got more interesting. The beginning and the middle of the book was kind of like to me, so I'm not sure if I want to continue the second book or continue with the series. So we'll see about that. But I did read the first one. I didn't hate it. It was okay. So yeah. My next book, again, our girl Sarah J. Maas. I listened to the audio of this, of Queen of Shadows. I think I got so oversaturated with Sarah J. Maas between 2023 and 2024 that I kind of took a break from her. So I did not finish the Throne of Glass series, and the last book I read in the Throne of Glass series was Queen of Shadows. I listened to the audio. So I'm going to make it a goal in 2025 to finish the rest of the series. I think I'm just gonna use Audible for it, because I don't know if I want to physically read the rest of the series. I think I'm just a little oversaturated with Sarah J. Maas, and I need to take a break. So, but I did listen to Queen of Shadows. I did like it. It wasn't too bad. I think my mistake was I started the Throne of Glass series after I read ACOTAR series and Crescent City. So my brain was just kind of like, what's going on? So I do recommend, though, if you're going to start in the Sarah J. Maas world, to start with the Throne of Glass series and then work your way towards ACOTAR and then Crescent City. So yeah. And then another book I liked was The Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Mascolo. Am I saying that right? Maniscalco. I do like her books. She did the Kingdom of the Cursed series, and then that bled into this series where the other kings of like the 7 deadly sins are being portrayed. So this is the Prince of Envy here, and it was a really good book. I did enjoy it. So yeah, and then I'm planning to read her next book as well, but this one was really good, and it just talked about the Prince of Envy and his storyline. So I would definitely recommend reading this book. All right, more books that I read. We're getting closer to the books that altered my brain chemistry, so just sit tight for that one. So I did. So another one of Ana Huang's Men, King of Sloth. This is Xavier. He was pretty okay. I did like his storyline. In her King of Sin series, my favorite one is Dante, King of Wrath. If I can combine her guys, Christian and Dante, into one man, that would be my dream man. Just saying. That would be my ultimate dream man if I could. But I did read King of Sloth. I did like it. It wasn't too bad. But like I said, definitely a Dante Russo and Christian Harper girly through and through. And the next book I read. Okay. Now, if you are still crazy about Crescent City like me, I recommend highly this series by Kayla Edwards. She has 3 books out so far. She has, and they're thick. There's some thick ones. So these are her first 2 books. And she came out with the 3rd book, and I read that one in 2024. And if you need more Crescent City in your life, I definitely recommend this series. Her first book is called City of Gods and Monsters. And then her second book is called City of Souls and Sinners. So City of Gods and Monsters. And then you have City of Souls and Sinners. And then this 3rd book she came out with this year is City of Lies and Legends. I definitely loved this series. It's definitely giving Bryce and Friends, like in Crescent City, except we have Lauren and Friends. And we have Darian, who's the main love interest, instead of Hunt. So, just like I said. This 3rd book, though, I didn't hate it. It didn't alter my brain chemistry like the first 2 of her series, only because I felt like this was a little redundant. And she's coming out with a total of 5 books. And do you see how thick that is? So I kind of was like, okay, we haven't ended it yet. When I finished this book, there was, again, another dilemma. So I was kind of like, okay, there's more. I did like it. I did like the new character she introduced. But, yeah. I felt it was a little redundant, but she did introduce some characters that, like Roman, Roman's definitely the one. But you have Darian, you have Roman, you have all of the, like, Devil Slayers, but this is definitely a good book to read, especially the series. So there's that one. I read a lot this year. Another book I read, I'm going to put these 2 together. So I read a new author. I read Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I did like these books. A lot of people did not like these books, but I actually did like these books. It was kind of cute in a way of, you know, being like enemies to lovers type of thing. I did like the ending of Reckless. It was very much a plot twist that I was just like, oh, okay, we'll see how that goes. But I did like the books. A lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. It didn't alter my brain chemistry, but I did enjoy it. I'm just going to say that much. Also, I read Jurassic Park. I know this is kind of weird, but I just wanted to read the book. I love the movie. And I just wanted to read the book. I just wanted to see what was the book like. I would have to say the book is more technical than the movie. And by technical, I do mean in terms of like scientific facts and, the science behind the whole doing Jurassic Park and cloning the animals and all that stuff. It is technical, but the book is just like the movie. Like, just like the movie. The only thing is, the two kids in the book, their ages are switched. So the brother's older and the sister's younger. But the sister is still annoying as ever. In my personal opinion, I found her annoying in the movie, and she's just as annoying in the book. So yeah, the book is just like the movie. They do show you a little bit of like after credit type of thing in the book that they don't show you in the movie. But I do recommend reading Jurassic Park. It's actually pretty good in terms of writing and everything. So yeah, I did like this a lot. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna do this book. Another book that I read is the Mindfuck series. I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to say that word on camera, but yeah, you can read from the title. I read this book. It is crazy. This book, I loved it. It's 5 books in one, but I don't understand why it needs to be 5 books. It could honestly, it's not 5 different stories. It's like literally 5 separate books, but one story. I just don't know why it needed to be divided into 5 books. It could have just been one huge book. There's so many books that are like thicker than this, and it's just one book. This is very much a cat and mouse type of game, type of book, and you know, I don't want to go into it too much, but pretty much how can I put this? It plays into the mind of a serial killer. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Because I want you to read this book. It's really good. It's literally 5 books into one, but it should be one book. But I definitely want you to read this book, so I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's not what you think it is. It's more metaphorically speaking than physically. This is not a smut book. A lot of people thought this was a smut book, but there is little to no... There's little smut in this book. It's more of like a psychological type of thriller in a sense. But yeah, it's definitely a good book, and it is a female serial killer. Again, that's as much as I'm gonna say. In the mind of a female serial killer. So definitely recommend reading the Mindfuck series. And then before I get into my books that altered my brain chemistry of 2024, the last book I read, meaning I read this like 2 weeks ago, this was the last book I read 2 weeks ago before 2024 ended, was the Book of Azrael. This was really good. This was pretty much, you had the girl who was the villain and the guy who was kind of the anguish good guy, and they fall in love. Definitely liked this book. I am currently reading the second book. It's a trilogy. Or, no, actually it's not a trilogy. It's going to be, I think there's a 4th book and more coming, but there's 3 books out so far. So I read the second book. I'm currently on the first one. But I definitely did like this book a lot. Definitely a twist on enemies to lovers type of thing. So yeah, I definitely recommend reading this book. Alright, so here's where I'm excited to share the books that altered my brain chemistry of 2024. Okay, I think we're going to start with probably the book that everyone's been seeing, and also the 3rd book comes out this month in about 3 weeks or so. We have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Yes, I know. Some people hate this book. A lot of people love this book, and I just happen to love this book. I happen to love this book so much that I am forever Xaden's girl. Sorry, Violet. I don't care. But I'm forever Xaden's girl. I have this book as a... police. Hold on. Sorry. I had this book, as a matter of fact, on my bookshelf for like a whole year and did not touch it until this past year. And when I said, why the hell haven't I opened this up sooner? Don't know. I could not tell you. But I finished these 2 books in like 1 week. Both of these books in the same week. I could not stop putting them down. When a book becomes like a TV show in my head, you cannot get my attention on anything else. The world can burn around me and I will be focused in on the book. And that's what happened with these 2 books. I was zoned in so hard that I finished it and I was just kind of like, what day is it? Yeah, I loved these 2 books. It was just incredible. The world building, the world in my head that I saw and everything about it. Then I'm excited about the 3rd book. I know she did kind of rushed the 2nd book. I could feel it, but I still enjoyed it very much. So I'm very excited for the 3rd book to see what that's about. Hopefully she won't disappoint. But I'm not going into detail again because I don't want to spoil it for people who do want to read it. But if you did read it and you did love it, you know how I feel. You know how I feel. Yes. Okay. Now, I don't have the physical book for this, but I started getting into fan fiction this past year, and my fanfic that I read was a Harry Potter fanfic. And I know, call it crazy, but when I tell you that this Harry Potter fanfic pretty much altered my brain chemistry, and I cannot stop thinking about it to this very day. I think about it at least a couple times a week, especially if I see something Harry Potter related, or I look at my bookshelf, you know, or I hear it. I cannot stop thinking about it. And I'm going to say right now that in regular Harry Potter, Draco, we hate him, ill, whatever. But fanfic Harry Potter, let me tell you, so I read Manacled. Okay, I have it on my Kindle. I do have like a paper, where is it? I do want to make like a physical paper bound book, so I did print out like the first volume of it because of course it's not allowed to be sold for copyright reasons, and it's by Sen Lin Yu. They are coming out. She is coming out with a book that's based off of Manacled, but of course they had to change the characters and everything. So she is coming out with a physical book. The characters are just being changed for obvious reasons. But Manacled changed my entire brain chemistry in 2024. When I say that Draco and Manacled, I would, yes. That's all I'm going to say. Draco and Manacled, yes. Just yes, yes, yes. Draco and Harry Potter, hell no. But Draco and Manacled, yes. 1000% yes. The relationship between him and Hermione in Manacled, oh my god. I completely was just like, when I tell you I cried. I physically cried reading this book through and through. I physically cried. This story was just so breathtaking. I couldn't believe that this was fan fiction. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, somebody sat and wrote this on Wattpad and just completely changed the world. I would definitely recommend trying to download this book before they get rid of it, because they are going to get rid of it because she's coming out with like a physical book, so they're getting rid of the fanfic of the book. But Manacled was amazing. It was amazing. And then another fan fiction that changed my brain chemistry that's also a part of the Harry Potter fanfic was The Auction. Let me see if I have it. Again, I wish there were physical copies of this book, but there are not. But The Auction was also a fanfic I read. And these are 1,000-page like fanfics. So these are not just like a little story. I consider these actual books because these are like basically 600 to 900 page fanfics. That's pretty much a thick ass book in my opinion. That's just as much as a Sarah J. Maas book. So I love The Auction. I think I liked The Auction a tad bit better than Manacled, only because of how the love played out between Hermione and Draco. They both were wonderful in their love, but the auction, I don't know, I just felt a little more like, go get your girl, man, go get your girl. But definitely would recommend reading fanfics, especially Harry Potter fanfics, because they're incredible. They're incredible. And yeah, those two changed my brain chemistry of 2024. And then, so we have Fourth Wing series, we have Manacled. And last but not least, now this is something I would have never if you had told me like 2 years ago that I would be reading sci-fi fiction, I would have told you I'm not really into sci-fi books. But I discovered sci-fi with good action, and that's where I started to get interested in. And I want to say the top trilogy that changed my brain chemistry of 2024, and I'm now diving more into also sci-fi fiction, I have to say the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. When I tell you these 3 books pretty much opened up a whole new world to me, I completely was like, where have you been all my life? This is like Star Wars and Hunger Games on crack. That's the only way I can describe it. Star Wars and Hunger Games on crack. I absolutely loved the entire plot of this trilogy. We have Darrow, who's pretty much the main character, and he was once this type of, let's just put it, he belonged in once this type of society, and in order to save his people, he had to become the other type of society and pretty much cause their downfall without them knowing. That's as much as I can say about it, because I definitely want other people to read this book. You don't understand. I would love to talk more about this book with other people, because I definitely loved this trilogy. I didn't think I would be into like the sci-fi action type of book, but it is. And I can already, like, I forgot the actor's name, but like, if you ask me who do you want to play Darrow, I already have the actor for you. I have him in my head. Like, as I'm reading this book, all I see is him, like, playing Darrow. So yeah, I could say I wholeheartedly loved this trilogy, and I'm going to read more. That he has like 3 more books that extend with the same character. It's like another set of a trilogy, but the Red Rising series, I 1000% recommend. And with that, that was all the books I read in 2024. Now, I'm going to kind of go through my TBR of 2025 real quick. I do have a list of books that I plan to read in 2025. There are books that I plan to read more than these books I'm going to show you, but for right now, these are the books I definitely plan to read in 2025, and I have them on my iPad. So first up, we obviously have Onyx Storm. Okay, that's the 3rd in the Fourth Wing and Iron Flame series. Definitely love that. We have King of Envy. That's the next guy in Ana Huang of Her Men. Okay. We have Kata Basis by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read much of her books. I still need to read Babel, but she has like the Poppy War. That's a good book. And I heard this book is like really cool with like magic systems and stuff. So I still, I'm very interested in getting to read this one. We have Oathbound. This is another African-American author that I absolutely love, okay? What's her name? Tracy Dion. Absolutely love. And this series was incredible. This is the 3rd book in her series that's coming out this year, and I'm so excited to read this. And I want to become a Brandon Sanderson girly, I know. I want to dive into the Brandon Sanderson universe. I'm so, like, keen on that. So we have Mistborn series that I am excited to read. And then this is another sci-fi action type of book, Empire of the Sun. Empire of Silence. Definitely excited to dive into that series. Not really I read the synopsis and it kind of is like Red Rising, so I'm very excited to see what that's about. We have The Striker by Anna. And Throne of Secrets. This is also the next book in the like Kings of Sin type of thing for Carrie Malaska. I can never say her name right. But yeah, I'm excited to read that. I also am going to read The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. Carissa Broadbent, her series, really good. Really good. Recommend that. The Will of Many. I heard so many good things about this book. I physically have the book, but I haven't touched it yet, and I'm planning to read it this year. Definitely. The Ritual. This is a good little dark romance book that I'm definitely excited to read. Quicksilver, another romantic-y type of book that I'm definitely excited to read. I'm actually more excited to listen to the audio version. If you know, you know, you know. And When the Moon Hatched. Excited to read this one. I have it on my bookshelf, just haven't touched it yet, so I'm definitely planning to read that. And yeah, that is it. And then also I plan to finish the series for the Book of Azrael. So I have the second book that I'm currently reading and then the third book that I need to finish. But yeah, I think that's it in pretty much all of the books that I plan to read, mostly, and all of the books I've read for 2024. So yeah, I'm excited for 2025 to see how much I will read. I'm hoping to double my number of books. Hey guys, my camera cut off. So, as I was saying, I just wanted to come on here and say thank you for listening. I could talk about books all day long, honestly. But yeah, that was my book wrapped of 2024 and all the books that I plan to read in 2025. And I'm hoping to double the amount of books I've read. But yeah, I can't wait to see what more books come and let's get our read on. But yeah, if you like these type of videos, let me know. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
You.